Good morning. It is still a very cold day. We had major flooding yesterday at school and all around the area. It was brutal, but also really fantastic for the soils to have all that water sink in. Great for the dams and water tanks. Everybody's tanks and dams are full as far as I've heard, which is amazing news going into this really dry summer period of time. So amazing. Who knew that floods could be a good thing in an area? I'm sure they were very devastating in some places, and there was definitely a lot of damage, and like the playgrounds were covered in grasses from going underwater, and there were heaps of branches all over the roads, and roads that were broken, like completely caved in. It was insane, but full tanks. I'm starting my day today with actually making some sourdough bread. It has honestly been a while since I've made bread, but we started to purchase it more often now. We're having more toasts and sandwiches, so it just makes sense to get back into it since I'm noticing that increase in bread consumption in our household. And I prefer making the bread myself than buying it, so it's time. It's also funny how my brain works, where literally the other day I said that I hadn't done sourdough and I wasn't going to do sourdough because that's not where my priority lays, and now I want to make sourdough. Now this rests in the oven next to the starter. While I wait an hour for my sourdough starter to still come up, I'm actually going to use the dulce de leche that we made the other day and turn it into that blondie recipe that I wanted to try. And I'm really excited for this because it sounds absolutely delicious. And brownies are one of my favorite things, so it just makes sense that I'm going to like blondies as well. So in one bowl, I'm going to mix all of my dry ingredients and I'll read them out as I go. Okay, so first step is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm using bread flour because that's what I have. So that's roughly 360 grams of flour. Next, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. It's about 2 grams, I hope. A teaspoon of salt, which is about 7 grams, and a tablespoon of cornstarch. Cornstarch and corn flour are the exact same thing, so it's about 15 grams. Mix it together. So this is all the dry ingredients except for the sugar. Next, in a small saucepan, I'm going to start to melt this 250 grams of butter, and to it I'm going to add the rest of my wet ingredients and my sugar, which I think I'm going to use honey. One and a half cups of honey should be 240, 340, 380 grams. 380 liters, I mean. That's a lot of honey. I might actually just do 300. I'm going to do 315 liters of honey mixed into that because I don't want it to be too sweet. Tell you what this looks like. It looks like creamed honey that you would buy from the shop. It's interesting. Tastes so naughty. I'm going to add 2 eggs in, one at a time. And now the dry ingredients get folded into the wet ingredients, apparently. Or can I just mix it all in? I think I'm just going to mix it in. Let's keep it simple. Mixture looks amazing. So you're supposed to do it in, I think, 2 layers. So this will be layer 1. We bake this in a 180 degree oven or 350 Fahrenheit for about 12 to 14 minutes. While we wait for that, I'll show you guys the dulce leche. Looks like yum. And to make it nice and creamy and soft, you just blend it up. Okay, so it looks like that. Oh, so good. Oh, it's just really sweet and delicious. Like it tastes like, it's not like caramel, like it's a whole other thing. It tastes like condensed milk, but not at the same time. You want to use the beater and beat it up so that it's loose. You can also add butter, but my mixture has enough butter, so I'm not going to do that, or we might die. Very nice. Craig from like Solar Craig is most likely popping in as well to look at the wall and all that jazz. Pick it up. Make shit hard, but what can we do? No, you didn't. This is from like quite earlier on. Clearly it just wasn't supposed to sit for so long. I am very much looking forward to these. We just went for a walk and it was crazy to see all of the life that was emerging since the rains. We got about halfway to the big dam and already we've noticed 2 of the 3 dams completely full. There was a black snake near one, there was a turtle on the way to the other, and it's just started raining, but we're gonna go out again later and I just hope that turtle is still there because it was so cool. My camera ran out of battery, so I couldn't capture it, so I insisted on going back, and now the rain's started. So at least we're not stranded halfway, but it was so cool. I've never seen a turtle wild in real life before. You know, I've seen tortoises. I grew up with tortoises in Israel, but not turtles. That was really special. And not around us either. So green out there. We're gonna go attempt to find that turtle again. Walk number 2. Look at all these mushrooms. Isn't that crazy? You can hear the rush of the creek down there. I'd love to see what it looks like. Haven't even left the property yet and it's starting to rain again, but I think let's commit to this. Let's just embrace this beautiful final day of spring with a rain shower as we head into summer and all the hills are green again. I know you guys are watching this and it's already December, but right now as I film this, it is the last day of spring, 30th of November. It absolutely just dumped, but it's really cool because we're at a spot right now where there isn't much rain, but when we look ahead of us, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the rain dropping down ahead. It's really cool. Alright, I have decided I'm going to embrace the cooking side of today's video and I'm going to go ahead and make those sourdough crackers that I've been talking about. And I don't really have all the ingredients that most of the recipes have, so I'm just once again going to experiment and combine ingredients that I have in the same types of ratios to achieve a similar result. So let's cross our fingers and hope that this is going to go well. So this particular recipe does have sourdough discard, but the sourdough discard isn't the actual leavening or rising agent, it's the baking powder that is. So you can use sourdough discard or it can be like risen sourdough, really doesn't matter. You're not going to wait the period of time for the yeast to rise things. I hope that makes sense. So half a cup of milk. Half a cup of yogurt. This is just Greek yogurt. Oops. Yep. And half a cup of sourdough discard. Which this one's really in there, isn't it? Okay, that's roughly half a cup. Alright, now it's time for the spices and the sweetener. So we need nutmeg, ginger, cinnamon, and salt. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a third of a teaspoon of ginger, quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg, quarter of a teaspoon of rosemary. So I'm just going to take a little bunch and break it up. Half a teaspoon of salt and then 3 tablespoons of honey. 1, 2, 3. Smells very Christmassy, very festive. Now it's time to add in all of our nuts, seeds, and delicious things. Alright, so let's do the dry ingredients. So we need half a cup of oats, half a cup of walnuts. I'm going to roughly chop them. There's really not that much left, so I might as well just add the rest in. Third of a cup sunflower seeds. And I'm gonna do half sunflower, half like mixed seeds. We need a teaspoon of baking soda. And so this is the rising agent. Half a cup of whole wheat flour. And half a cup of normal flour. I'm gonna mix. I'm going to use one of these trays because it's closest in shape to what I need. The type of pan that you use, so whatever you use to bake it in, is going to determine the shape of your cracker. So mine is just going to be longer, or I can always cut it in half and then slice it. So yeah, it's okay. So essentially right now it's a loaf, and we're going to cook it like you would a banana cake, or you know, like a banana loaf, zucchini loaf, whatever. And then once it's baked for the first time, we're going to slice it and then bake it again. And that's what makes it into the crackers. I'm going to make a couple of curries for dinner, and these are also just really great to keep in the freezer for when we want a quick meal. So I'm going to make a beef madras type of curry. Oh, and by the way, this is beef from our neighbors up the road. They've had cows grazing the lands literally of the hill, and we get to taste the meat of that. It's pretty exciting. For the base of the sauce, I'm going to use one of our curry bases that we made the other day. And then I'm just going to add the spices to either of the curries to give them the flavor that I want. I'm not a big fan of beef, but I'm definitely a fan of like homegrown. So this is amazing and so generous of our neighbor to give it to us. To cook everything, I'm going to cook it in some of our pig lard. So the madras needs a teaspoon of coriander, a teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of paprika, one cinnamon stick, so I'm going to say a quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon, an eighth of cloves. Ground clove is a really strong spice, so use like the teensiest amount. And then into that I'm going to add my beef. That's what I love about making curries, and something I'm glad Sam has taught me is it's seriously so easy, and the base, like that curry base, makes it even easier because all the vegetables I need are chopped up in there. They're already partly cooked, so we just need to wait for the beef. I'm gonna do my sourdough now. Oh, the flies today are so annoying. So you divide the dough in half.
I don't want to cash out. I feel excited about staying in this general world. Sure. You know what I mean? Listen, things may change where I'm at, may change, but I'm
Yeah, you're in. You're trapped. It's also fun.
trapped in
For
showbiz.
a creative person, it's fun. Like, your canvas just changed.
Yes,
And that's
exactly it.
right? Like, your canvas, for me, watching you, I've watched your canvas change to